Mentor leaders have an incredible ability to find the gold. I'm speaking about mentor leaders tonight. You know, every leader needs to have a facet in them that is a mentoring facet. Something in their character, in their attributes, that is prepared to mentor another generation, to mentor the next generation, to find gold. And gold is actually finding the potential in those that don't look like they have potential. To see beyond what others see, to see beyond what they can actually see. They can actually see the potential. They can find gold in the person. They look for the gifting. They look for the ability, the talent, the strengths. They look for those things even when it's not evident to the mentee. They look for that, and then they begin to strategize on how to bring the best out in every person. When you find gold in somebody, you're able to begin to speak to the person, to speak to the gold. You're able to begin to speak to the person and speak to their potential. Mentor leaders don't speak to the mentee, thanks for the loves. They don't speak to the person as what they see. You know, this was something that really began to deal with my heart many years ago in dealing with our own children, with my sons, is that just because they didn't behave the way that I expected didn't mean that they would be lowered in my estimation. I began to speak to the person that I believed was there. I began to speak to the potential. I began to speak to the gifting. I began to speak to the person that I believe they can be. And I began to treat them like the person that they can be. I think sometimes too many leaders deal with people in their frustration, and they deal with people based upon what they're experiencing right now. Instead of finding the gold, instead of looking for the gold in people and beginning to mine that gold. It takes a strategy. It takes a process. It takes finding the gold and then bringing the gold up. You know, gold is not found in nice big blocks in the earth. Gold, tons and tons of rock have to be moved to find nuggets of gold. And then those nuggets of gold have to be then refined and refined until pure gold is found, and then loads and loads of it is put together until they have a nice gold bar. And that's the same with the people that you lead. It's the same with your family, with your children. You have to find the gold, and sometimes you have to move tons of ore, tons of rock to find the real gems in who they are, what their real gifting is. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. Excuse me. And when he's old, he will not depart from that. And so, you know, take the time to find the gold in your children. Find the gold in those that you're leading. Mentor them. That's what mentoring is. Mentoring is finding the gold and then preparing the process, taking them through a process of seeing that gold being refined until it's manifest, until it's allowed to shine, until it has its value. It always has its value. Even in the rock, it has value. But it's only when you can see it that it really has value. And you know why gold is so valuable? Because it's so scarce. And you know why it's so scarce? Because it's so hard to find it. You've got to dig. You've got to, you know, it takes like guys who come along and they can look at the ground and they can look at everything. You know, in Johannesburg, in South Africa, the gold mines go kilometers down. How do they know it's there? Because they just look at the earth and then they test things and yeah, it's here somewhere. And then they begin to dig and dig and dig. Somebody could see what you and I would walk over. They could see, here is gold in this ground. And then they could begin to dig and dig and dig and find the veins of gold that are hidden in rock. And that's what you do as a mentor leader. You can see that potential. You can see that gold, and you begin to mine for that gold. You begin to help that person. You begin to help that next generation. You begin to help that mentee to develop into the person that you can see. The person that they're meant to be, not the person you want them to be, the person that they are meant to be. You can find that and you can strategize that. I was telling somebody last week is that when I began to see my sons as they were growing up, I began to see each one as different. And I decided, you know what? I've got to have a strategy for each one because each one is different. Each one is an individual. And I've got to begin to see what works for their life and how I can enhance who they are to be the best person that they can be. Oh, it wasn't always easy, but I could see the potential. And I would speak to the potential. I would talk to them like they were already there. And that's the power of finding gold as a mentor leader. Find the potential, develop the potential, and let the potential shine and be valuable in their world. That's my tip for today. Have a good one. Have a great week. This is your week to be a great leader. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.